Hi guys, so this is U4A2, and this is in response to a question about 2C from the homework. But I'll do a quick review of the stuff we're doing in this course here. Right now I'm teaching the 3U course in regular classroom over at Beale, and we are dealing with the same sort of question, except we're dealing in degrees. So I'm going to go from degrees to radians and back and forth and help you understand what the changes are, and maybe you can relate it to what you learned last year. So the question is, how did tan 8 pi over 6 equal root 3? So that's the answer in the answer section, and that's correct. And let's figure out why that is correct. So I have tan 8 pi over 6, and I want to figure out what that is. So first of all, we got to figure out what quadrant we're in. Well, there's a bunch of things we have to do, but one of them is what quadrant is 8 pi over 6 in. And then we can figure out using the CAST law if our answer is positive or negative. So in the old days, when you used degrees, I think it was kind of obvious to you. You went from 0 to 90 here, 90 to 180 in quadrant 2. Quadrant 3 was, so again, this is quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4. Quadrant 3 was 180 to 270, and then 270 to 360. Now, let's just remember that we're not using this anymore. We're not using degrees, we're using radians. So I wonder if I can do this for a second here. Let me see. It's a little bit shifted. Let me do this. Okay, there we go. So if you look closely here, quadrant 1 was 0 to 90. So the way it works, we're going to get used to changing from degrees to radians. Remember that 360 is equal to 2 pi. So 180 would be pi, and then everything is based off that. So 90 is half of that. So I go from 0 to 90, I go from 0 to pi over 2. That's 90. And then from pi over 2, or 90 to 180, which is pi. So from pi over 2 to pi, I go here. From pi to 3/2 pi, or 1.5 pi, I'm in this quadrant. Okay, so that's pi is 180, 270 is halfway between pi and 2 pi. And finally, I go from 270 to 360, 3/2 pi to 2 pi in this quadrant. So I asked myself first, where is this? And it might not be obvious what's going on here, how big this is. But if I find out what 8/6 is, 8/6 reduces to 4/3, which is 1.3-ish pi. So if I look here, which one of these is, where does 1.3 and a bit pi fit? Which quadrant? It's bigger than pi. It's not 1.5 pi, so it's in quadrant 3. CAST law says tan is positive in quadrant 3, so my final answer will be positive. Also, if I'm in quadrant 3, what I want to do is I want to find the related angle to, because I have my table here, and I'm giving everything away here, but I have my table here of values, where you have your given theta, and then you have the equivalent radian version, and then you have your sine, cos, and tan ratio. So I got to figure out which one of these is related to, which one of these, 30, 45, 60, or 90, or pi over 6, pi over 4, pi over 3, or pi over 2, is related to 8 pi over 6. And to find that out, what I have to figure out is I have to move back from, what I like to say, I like to move back from the quadrant 3 into quadrant 1, where all my answers here are in quadrant 1. And to do that, I used to use this table here, where I have theta here, 180 minus theta here, 180 plus theta here, 360 theta minus theta in the quadrant 4. But all of that now, I've just changed all of that into this little table here, where I have theta, pi subtract theta, pi plus theta, 2 pi minus theta. Okay, so that has all, that's just been converted here from here to here. So now I know that from degrees to radians. Earlier I figured I was in quadrant 3, so I know I'm down here, which means that pi plus theta is the way I'm going to get to and from third quadrant to first quadrant. So I know that my answer is 8 pi, my angle is 8 pi over 6, and I have to figure out what's the related angle in the first quadrant. So I know that pi plus theta is equal to 8 pi over 6. So that's my given angle. So I got to figure out what theta is, the related angle in the first quadrant. So I take pi, I subtract from both sides, and I end up, so I subtract pi from here. So I just bring this guy over here. And that is 6 pi over 6, if I want to use common denominators, which is 2 pi over 6, which reduces to 1 pi over 3. So that's what I have down here, 1 pi over 3. Then I look over on my table, and I say, okay, I'm related to 1 pi over 3. I want the tan of 1 pi over 3. It's root 3. I also knew, like I said, that I'm in the third quadrant, so therefore my answer is positive, and that's my final answer. Okay, so tan of 8 pi over 6 is equal to root 3. Okay, move your angle. What angle? Where's my angle? Where is it? 1, 2, 3, 4. Move it to the first quadrant. Okay, figure out which one of these relates to your angle that you're looking at. Okay, then decide, do I want the positive or do I want the negative version of that based on the cast law? Okay, do that all together, and you should be able to find your answer. Okay, good luck. Take care.